Good morning. Welcome to Your Vote Counts. There was an activity this week that really focused this governor's race, the debate with Storm Jones, Trey Savage. Great job. You guys went national with this. So we're not talking about trivial nonsense anymore. We're really getting into the issues. We just saw a veterans group who were big Republicans came out for the superintendent. It's happening fast, but the issues from the debate.
Yeah, we've got, look, less than 3 weeks to go here, and the veterans endorsing Superintendent Hofmeister, as well as the 5 big tribes coming out and endorsing, I think have been big news this week. The debate was interesting. There were a lot of topics that they disagreed on. I really enjoyed the fact that Joy Hofmeister came out, called herself aggressively moderate. I think this is something that a lot of voters are looking for, someone that's willing to listen to both sides of the issue. She did not at all shy away from the fact that she'd been a registered Republican most of her life, that she had changed parties because this race was that important. I think a lot of that came out in the debate. I wish it was televised, though.
It should have been, but it wasn't. So your thoughts as to how that debate went?
Well, you always love seeing public debate, and I do have to say, Trey Savage, Storm Jones did a phenomenal job. I wish it was televised, too. There was one key in that debate, though, that just sticks out to me. I'm so disappointed in, and I guess I'll call it now, criminal justice reform, I guess, is officially dead, and it was killed by Superintendent Hofmeister. I'm arguing that low-level drug offenders somehow are what's going to rise crime rates in Oklahoma. That was incredibly disappointing. What we did see inside that debate, though, is a vision for the state, and that's what I think the rest of this race needs to be about. I think Governor Stitt needs to continue to push his vision for the state of Oklahoma if he's going to come out victorious in November.
Okay, well, it's really a red-hot race, and you brought it up. I mean, we saw basically national television was focusing on our debate, Washington Post, New York Times, crime. Let's go where you just went, some more about criminal justice reform and crime in this race.
Yeah, so obviously it's a weird race. We have vehemently the Democrat challenger against any form of low-level drug offender changes for criminal justice reform, which is a very strange position to be in. Crime in Oklahoma is in a good spot right now. We're using FBI data, crime statistics that everybody agrees are not the final statistics right now. Here's what I know. What I hope we keep doing, and cooler heads prevail, and we stop saying stuff just to get elected, and we start locking up people we're afraid of and not people we're mad at. I'm proud to be endorsed by the FOP. I've worked great with firefighters and the police officers the whole time, but the whole way this criminal justice reform has gone in this entire election cycle, couldn't be more disappointed.
Okay, both of you were involved when you did a lot of subsequent legislation on criminal justice reform. You watched this the other night. What he just said, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I wasn't disappointed when I heard Superintendent Hofmeister kind of take a shot at criminal justice reform. I think we've been moving in the right direction over the last 4 to 6 years here in the state of Oklahoma on criminal justice reform. For anyone that's watching, national news, every night they turn their TV on and watch Fox News, all they hear is crime, 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 crime. But we don't hear is the stories about people's lives that have been put back together. We don't hear about second chance opportunities, about folks that the healing they need in order to become the citizens that they were always promised to be. I think we're on the right road on criminal justice reform. I agree with my colleague. I hope people will stop saying things just to get elected, and we'll see criminal justice reform move forward.
Okay, you brought up marijuana. We're bringing up marijuana next. Stay with us. We've been talking about this issue for umpteen jillion years now. Okay, first medical marijuana, now marijuana full legalizations on the ballot for next March. There's been a lot of stories this week. Brittany Toulis did one this week about why. I think there's some political reasons behind it, but it's on the ballot for next March. What do you think?
Well, I will say putting it on the ballot quicker and not making it wait 2 years was the right call. This show is called Your Vote Counts for a reason. At the end of the day, it's not politicians' job to impose their will on the voters. It's their job to listen to the voters. Now, I've said on this show, I'm pro-medical and I'm anti-recreational, but the reality is, in March, the citizens are going to have the opportunity to decide initiative petition they put on the ballot. The other benefit is there are people on all sides that have some issues with the petition. In March, we'll still be in the legislative session. It took me 4 years to get OMMA as a standalone agency, which is why we're in the mess we're in. We're finally starting to fix it on medical marijuana. What I'm hoping we do is don't run away from the issue. If the citizens do pass it, we need to address it in the legislative session.
The fact is, tens of thousands of people showed up to vote for medical marijuana a few years ago that had never voted before, okay? It's a big issue. A lot of people thought, and a lot of political scientists, these would be people that are going to show up to vote against the governor if you don't do something about this issue. Your thoughts?
Well, look, I do think that there was some politics involved here, but what we're talking about, State Question 820, that will be on the ballot in March. It will be very interesting to have a statewide election for a question in the middle of legislative session. As my colleague just alluded to, literally you could pass a statewide question and then the legislature could immediately affect what the voters did because they're still in session. It will be unique. I wish it would have been on the November ballot. I think that folks in Oklahoma have become okay with the issue of marijuana. The decriminalization piece of that question is really important, and I hope we talk more about that as it goes forward.
Okay, now it's time for the Jon Echols portion of the program called Inflation. And we all know what's happening. We're watching the Fed impact housing markets, all kinds of stuff. But the impact of this on this election, for one thing, what do you think?
Look, there is no doubt that inflation is going to affect the November elections. It is the #1 issue that voters across the country, not just in Oklahoma, are looking at. But what I want to tell you here at home is it's not just happening in the United States either. Inflation in Great Britain is up 15%. In Germany, it's up 18%. Inflation is up everywhere right now. We're coming off of a worldwide pandemic, and there are issues still at play. What I hope is that our policymakers will continue to look at things, continue to look at measures such as eliminating a grocery tax, maybe lowering the tax on fuel, doing the kinds of things that will actually help families instead of just scaring them constantly about inflation, but not doing anything.
And now here's your inflation analyst, Jon Echols. Your thoughts?
We've been talking about inflation long before it happened. I said on this show over and over again, you can't print all the money that we're printing in the federal government. You can't go into lockdowns that we've been going into and not expect sky-high inflation. This inflation is a tax on everyone in the United States, and it is the highest tax year in the history of the United States during my lifetime. Absolutely, we should have cut the grocery tax last session. We should have passed it again when the House of Representatives passed it twice at the governor's request during the special session. The citizens of the state of Oklahoma deserve relief, and I wish politicians would start listening because, again, it's not our job to impose their will. We need to do these common sense actions that put more money in their pocket while the federal government is causing problems to make them spend more of their own hard-earned cash.
So I had an interview with Senator Thompson over in the Senate. They're taking a look at this, and we're studying it. There's a discussion ongoing right now about that. Hey, thanks for watching Your Vote Counts. See this again at news9.com/YourVoteCounts. Follow me on Twitter @MitchellTalks.